Sign it. The pen trembled in my bloodied fingers as I stared at the marriage certificate. Kim Tae-young stood behind me, his shadow falling across the ornate paper like a death sentence. My wedding dress, once white, now bore crimson stains from the fight that brought me here. I said, sign it, Chioma. His voice cut through my shock like ice. This wasn't how any woman imagined her wedding day. But after 10 years of hell with Min Jun, maybe marrying Seoul's most dangerous man was the only escape I had left. What happens if I don't? I whispered, though we both knew I had no choice. Then you go back to him. And we both know how that story ends. Before I tell you how I ended up signing my life away to a man more dangerous than my abuser, let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and subscribe to Mystic Tale by Luna, where stories like this reveal the secrets we bury to survive. 3 hours earlier, I was running through Seoul's rain-soaked streets in my torn dress, barefoot and bleeding. Every step away from Min Jun felt like freedom, but I knew he'd find me. He always did. That's when I stumbled into Tae-young's nightclub in Itaewon. The bouncer tried to stop me, but I pushed past him, desperate for anywhere that wasn't Min Jun's reach. The bass thundered through my bones as I collapsed against the bar, shaking. Help me, I begged the bartender. Please, I need somewhere to hide. That's when I saw him. Kim Tae-young emerged from the VIP section like something from a dark fairy tale, tall, sharp-suited, with eyes that seemed to see straight through my soul. Every conversation in the club died as he approached. You're bleeding, he said in English, his accent thick but careful. I touched my lip where Min Jun had hit me. It's nothing. It's everything. He pulled out his phone, speaking rapid Korean to someone. I caught fragments, safe house, protection, arrangements. I can't pay you, I said, panic rising. I have nothing. His smile was winter itself. We'll discuss payment later. That should have been my first warning. The next thing I remember clearly was waking up in silk sheets with a pounding headache and a marriage certificate on the nightstand. My name was already signed in my own handwriting I didn't remember forming. You agreed, Tae-young said from across the room, watching me piece together the nightmare. Multiple witnesses. I was drunk. Traumatized. That doesn't count. In Korean law, it counts. I studied his face, looking for mercy and finding none. What do you want from me? Loyalty. Obedience. Silence. He moved closer, and I caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with something darker. Your ex-boyfriend made some very poor financial decisions. Debts that became my concern when he used your name as collateral. My blood turned to ice. What are you talking about? Min Jun owes my organization $2 million. He offered you as security. The room spun. Even in escape, Min Jun had found a way to cage me. I never agreed to be anyone's collateral. Tell that to the contract he forged with your signature. Tae-young handed me a document covered in Korean text and my supposedly authentic signature. Congratulations, Mrs. Kim. You just became my most valuable asset. I stared at the paper, my hands shaking so violently the words blurred together. This had to be a nightmare. 10 years of psychological torture from Min Jun, and now this, a different kind of prison with golden bars. I won't do this, I said, finding strength I didn't know I still had. I won't be owned by another man. You misunderstand. His voice dropped to something almost gentle, which made it infinitely more terrifying. You already are. He moved to the window, looking out at Seoul's glittering skyline. Your options are simple. Honor the marriage contract and live in comfort under my protection. Or I return you to Min Jun with my personal recommendation that he handle his debts more creatively. The casual way he delivered my death sentence made my skin crawl. What kind of protection requires a wedding ring? The permanent kind. I thought about my mother back in Lagos, how she'd raised me to be strong like her, to never let any man diminish my worth. But what good was strength when you were trapped between two predators? If I stay, what exactly does this marriage mean? It means you live. It means Min Jun can never touch you again. It means you have my name and everything that comes with it. He turned back to me, his expression unreadable. And it means you belong to me in every way that matters. The pen felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds in my hand. I need guarantees, I said, surprised by the steadiness in my own voice. You're in no position to negotiate. I'm Nigerian, Mr. Kim. Negotiation is in my blood. Something flickered in his eyes, surprise, maybe even respect. What kind of guarantees? I keep my passport. I can call my family. And if you ever raise a hand to me, this marriage ends. He was quiet for so long I thought he'd refuse. Then he nodded once, sharp and final. Agreed. Now sign. The pen scratched across paper, sealing my fate with blue ink. Mrs. Kim Chioma, a name I'd never imagined carrying, bound to a man whose world I didn't understand. But as the ink dried, one thought burned through my terror. For the first time in 10 years, Min Jun couldn't reach me. Even if I'd traded one cage for another, at least this one had locks on the inside. You think you know what abuse looks like, I said to my reflection in Taeyung's penthouse mirror. But sometimes it wears a three-piece suit and calls itself protection. The bruises on my arms told a different story than the designer dress I now wore. Taeyung had given me everything Min Jun never could: luxury, security, respect from his staff. But the golden handcuffs were still handcuffs. Are you talking to yourself again? Taeyung's voice came from the doorway. In Nigeria, we say the walls have ears. I was making sure mine were listening. He stepped into the room, and I caught that familiar scent of expensive cologne mixed with danger. What do they tell you? That I've been here 3 weeks and still don't know who you really are. You know everything that matters. I'm your husband. I keep you safe. Safe from what? You've never actually told me what Min Jun did to deserve your attention. Something shifted in his expression. For a moment, the mask slipped, and I saw something raw underneath. Some stories are better left buried. But I was done accepting half-truths. Not this one. Not when it's my life on the line. He moved to the window, hands clasped behind his back in that way that made him look like a general surveying a battlefield. 3 years ago, Min Jun came to me for a loan. Said he needed money for a business venture. What kind of business? The kind that traffics young women from Southeast Asia into Seoul's entertainment district. My stomach dropped. You're lying. I never lie about business, Chioma. He wanted capital to expand his operation. When I refused, he threatened to expose some of my legitimate investments to the authorities. So you killed him? I wanted to. His voice carried a weight that made me step back. But then I started watching him. Following his patterns. That's when I saw you. The room felt smaller suddenly, airless. You were watching me. Every Tuesday, you'd go to the market in Hongdae. Every Friday, you'd call your mother from the park near your apartment. Every Sunday, you'd sit alone in that cafe, reading books in Igbo that made you cry. You stalked me. I studied you. He turned back to me, and his eyes held something I'd never seen before: vulnerability. Do you know what I saw? A victim you could manipulate? A warrior pretending to be broken. His words hit me like a physical blow. I wasn't pretending anything. He destroyed me. No. Taeyung moved closer, his voice dropping to that dangerous whisper. He tried to. There's a difference. You don't know what you're talking about. I watched you argue with that vendor who tried to overcharge you because you're foreign. I watched you send half your part-time job's salary back to Nigeria every month. I watched you hide your bruises with makeup but never hide your fire. Stop. He was afraid of you, Chioma. That's why he hit you. That's why he isolated you. That's why he tried to break your spirit. And what's your excuse? I snapped. Why do you keep me locked in this tower? Because I'm afraid of you too. The admission hung between us like a confession in church. I stared at him, searching for the lie, the manipulation I knew had to be there. But his face was open, unguarded in a way that felt dangerous for both of us. You're afraid of me? Terrified. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Do you know what it's like to build your entire life on control, only to meet someone who makes you want to surrender it? I never asked you to. You didn't have to. From the moment you stumbled into my club, bleeding and broken but still fighting, you've been unraveling everything I thought I knew about power. My hands were shaking. This conversation was too honest, too raw. Then let me go. I can't. Because of the contract? Because of me. He stepped closer, and I could see the war in his eyes. Because letting you go means admitting that I'm exactly like him. You are like him. No. His voice turned sharp again, dangerous. He took your choices away because he was weak. I'm taking them away because I'm selfish. What's the difference? He wanted to break you. I want to keep you whole. I laughed, but it came out bitter. By caging me? By protecting you from a world that would destroy something as rare as your strength. My mother didn't raise me to be protected. She raised me to protect myself. Then why didn't you leave him sooner? The question hit like a slap. Because I loved him. Because I thought love meant suffering. Because every time he hurt me, he convinced me it was my fault. And now? Now I know the difference between love and ownership. I met his eyes directly. The question is, do you? He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely audible. I'm learning. From who? From you. Something inside my chest cracked open. This wasn't the conversation I'd expected to have. This wasn't the man I'd thought I'd married. Taeyong. Don't. He held up a hand. Don't say whatever you're about to say. Not yet. Why not? Because I'm not ready to hear it. And when will you be? When I can look at you and not see everything I'm afraid of losing. My breath caught. What are you afraid of losing? The first person who's ever seen me as human instead of monster. The vulnerability in his voice made my chest tight. I don't see you as either. Then what do you see? A man who's forgotten how to trust anyone, including himself. He flinched like I'd struck him. Maybe that's why I need you to stay. Need and want are different things. Are they? One is about you. The other is about us. And which one is this? I studied his face, looking for the answer in the lines around his eyes, the tension in his shoulders. I'm still figuring that out. Take your time. He moved toward the door, then paused. But Chioma? Yes? When you decide, remember that I've never lied to you. Even when the truth made me look like the villain. After he left, I sank into the silk chair by the window, my mind spinning. This was supposed to be simple. He was supposed to be the enemy, the captor, the next man in line to destroy me. But nothing about Kim Taeyong was simple. If you're feeling that same confusion I felt, subscribe to Mystic Tale by Luna. Because what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about the difference between protection and prison. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister in Lagos. Mama is asking when you're coming home for Chukwu's wedding. Home. A word that felt foreign now. I typed back, I'm not sure I can. Why? What's wrong? How could I explain that I'd married a stranger to escape my abuser? That I was living in a penthouse prison with a man who saw me as both salvation and threat? It's complicated. Chioma, you've been gone 2 years. We miss you. The words hit harder than any of Taeyong's revelations. I'd been so focused on surviving, on escaping, on simply breathing from one day to the next, that I'd forgotten what it felt like to be missed. To be wanted for who I was, not what I could provide. I miss you too. Then come home. I stared at the message for a long time before deleting it without response. Because how do you go home when you're no longer sure who you are? He's here. Taeyong's voice cut through my morning tea like a blade. I looked up from my book to find him standing in the doorway, his face carved from stone. Who's here? Min Jun. He's downstairs in the lobby, demanding to see his fiancée. The teacup slipped from my hands, shattering against the marble floor. He can't be. You said the contract. The contract protects you legally. It doesn't stop a desperate man from making threats. My chest tightened. What kind of threats? The kind that involve immigration services and forged documents. What are you talking about? Taeyong moved to the window, his jaw clenched. He claims your student visa was obtained illegally. Says he has evidence that could get you deported. That's impossible. I've done everything by the book. Have you? The question hung between us like an accusation. I thought back to the paperwork, the fees, the endless bureaucratic maze that brought me to Seoul 2 years ago. My documents are legitimate. But are they complete? My stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means Min Jun might have information about your application that you don't. You think he helped me get my visa? I think he's the kind of man who plants seeds of dependence and waits years to harvest them. The room spun. Every piece of my independence, every choice I thought I'd made freely, suddenly felt contaminated by his manipulation. I never asked for his help. That's not how predators work, Chioma. They help you before you know you need it. My hands were shaking so badly I had to clasp them together. What does he want? You. And 50 million won in compensation for breach of contract. 50 million? The number hit me like a physical blow. I don't have that kind of money. I know. Do you? Yes. Then pay him. Taeyong turned from the window, his expression unreadable. Is that what you want? For me to buy you like cattle? I want him gone. I want to never see his face again. I want to stop feeling like a bone between two dogs. Then you'll be disappointed. Why? Because I'm not paying him a single one. My heart hammered against my ribs. Then what's your plan? We face him together. Together? I stood up so fast the chair scraped against the floor. I am not going down there. Yes, you are. I can't. I won't. You will. His voice carried that dangerous edge I'd learned to recognize. Because hiding from him gives him power over you. He already has power over me. No. Taeyong stepped closer, his eyes burning with something fierce. He has fear. There's a difference. Not from where I'm standing. Then maybe it's time you learn to stand somewhere else. Have you ever felt that moment when your heart knows something before your mind catches up? That's what hit me as I looked into Taeyong's face. He wasn't just asking me to face Min Jun. He was asking me to face the part of myself that had been hiding for 10 years. I can't do this alone. You're not alone. How do I know you won't use this against me later? Because I'm not him. Prove it. Taeyong pulled out his phone and pressed a button. Security, send Min Jun up. Top floor. Conference room. My blood turned to ice. What are you doing? proving that I trust you to handle this. On your territory. With your rules. With your voice. The elevator chimed in the distance, and I heard the mechanical whir of it rising through the building like a countdown to execution. I need you to promise me something, I said, my voice barely steady. What? If he tries to touch me, you kill him. Something dark flashed in Taeyong's eyes. Gladly. And if I fall apart, you don't interfere. You let me put myself back together. Chioma. Promise me. He nodded once, sharp and final. Promised. The elevator doors opened with a soft chime. Footsteps echoed down the marble hallway, each one making my skin crawl with muscle memory. Then Min Jun appeared in the doorway. He looked exactly the same, tall, lean, with that smile that had once made me feel chosen and later made me feel trapped. But something was different. Maybe it was me. There's my beautiful fiancé, he said in that smooth voice that used to make me melt. You look good, Chioma. Marriage suits you. I'm not your fiancé. According to my lawyer, you are. That little ceremony you had here isn't legally binding. Taeyong stepped forward. It's binding enough. Ah, the famous Mr. Kim. Min Jun's smile turned predatory. Thank you for keeping my woman safe while I sorted out our legal issues. She's not your woman. She's certainly not yours. Min Jun pulled out a folder thick with documents. Student visa obtained through fraudulent employment records. Immigration Services would be very interested to know that her sponsor company never actually existed. My legs almost gave out. What company? The one I created to get you here. The one that's been paying your rent for 2 years. The one that makes you completely dependent on my goodwill. You bastard. The words came out stronger than I expected. Now. Is that any way to speak to the man who gave you everything? You gave me nothing but pain. I gave you a life and soul. I gave you opportunities. I gave you love. You gave me trauma. I gave you purpose. His voice cracked like a whip. You were nobody before me. A village girl with village dreams. The old Chioma would have crumpled. The old Chioma would have believed him. But the woman standing in this room had learned something important over the past month. You're right, I said, my voice getting stronger with each word. I was nobody before you. But I'm somebody now. Because of me. Despite you. His face twisted with rage. You ungrateful. Careful, Taeyong's voice cut through the air like a blade. Choose your next words very carefully. Or what? You'll have me killed? Min Jun laughed. I have insurance policies you can't imagine. Documentation of every illegal transaction this organization has ever made. Blackmail? Taeyong sounded almost amused. That's your strategy? It's worked for 2 years. Against her. Not against me. Then I guess we'll see who has more to lose. We already know. Taeyong moved to his desk and pulled out a different folder. Immigration records showing your illegal employment of foreign nationals. Financial records showing your shell company operations. Video evidence of you threatening a foreign citizen on my property. Min Jun's confidence wavered. You're bluffing. I never bluff. Even if that's true, I still have her visa status. One phone call and she's deported. Make the call. The room went dead silent. I stared at Taeyong, my heart hammering. What are you doing? Calling his bluff. This isn't a game. No, Taeyong said, his eyes never leaving Min Jun's face. It's war. And he just realized he brought a knife to a gunfight. Min Jun's phone was already in his hand. You think I won't do it? I think you're a coward who only fights battles he's guaranteed to win. Watch me. But as Min Jun started to dial, something in his expression changed. His fingers slowed, then stopped. What's wrong? Taeyong asked. Having second thoughts? You did something. Min Jun's voice was tight with suspicion. What did you do? I protected my wife. How? The same way you tried to trap her. Paperwork. Taeyong opened his folder and spread documents across the table. Marriage certificates, visa transfers, citizenship applications. Chioma is now a permanent resident by marriage. Your illegal company no longer has any bearing on her status. My knees buckled. When did you? Last week. While you were learning to trust me. Min Jun's face went white. That's impossible. The process takes months. When you have the right connections, it takes days. You can't just. It's done. Taeyong's voice carried absolute finality. She's legally untouchable. Your threats are meaningless. Your leverage is gone. Min Jun looked between us, his carefully constructed plan crumbling in real time. This isn't over. Yes, I said, my voice finally finding its strength. It is. Chioma. Get out. You don't understand what you're throwing away. Get out. The words came from somewhere deep in my chest, 10 years of swallowed rage finally finding voice. Get out before I forget that I'm not the kind of woman who destroys men for sport. Min Jun stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. Maybe he was. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is wasting 10 years on a coward. He left without another word, his footsteps echoing down the hallway like the closing of a tomb. After the elevator doors closed, I collapsed into the nearest chair, my whole body shaking. It's over, Taeyong said quietly. Is it? Yes. How do I know you won't use those same connections to trap me? Because I already gave you the key. He handed me a document I hadn't noticed before. My citizenship papers, but something was different. What is this? Your freedom. Legal independence. The right to leave whenever you choose. I stared at the papers, my vision blurring. Why? Because love without choice isn't love at all. And if I choose to leave, then I'll know I was wrong about everything. And if I stay, then I'll know I was right about the only thing that matters. I looked up at him through my tears. What's that? That you're the strongest person I've ever met. And that strength was never something I needed to protect. Then what do you need? To learn how to be worthy of it. I need to go home. The words hung in the air between us like a challenge. Taeyong looked up from his morning coffee, his expression carefully neutral. To Nigeria? Yes. My cousin is getting married next month. My family expects me there. And after the wedding? That was the question that had kept me awake for 3 nights straight. I don't know. You don't know if you're coming back. I don't know if I want to. He set down his cup with deliberate precision. What would make you want to? A reason that has nothing to do with contracts or protection or fear. What kind of reason? The kind that makes staying a choice instead of a sentence. Taeyong was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was softer than I'd ever heard it. What if I said I love you? I'd say you love the idea of me. The Nigerian woman who challenged you. The warrior who survived abuse. The prize you won from another man. That's not. Isn't it? I leaned forward, needing him to hear this. You fell in love with my strength, but you've never seen me weak. You admire my independence, but you've kept me dependent. You want my fire, but you've tried to contain it. I was protecting you. From what? Making my own mistakes? Choosing my own battles? From getting hurt again. What if getting hurt is part of healing? He flinched like I'd struck him. I can't watch you suffer. Then you can't really love me. How can you say that? Because love isn't about preventing someone's pain. It's about trusting them to survive it. The silence stretched between us, heavy with everything we'd never said. Outside, Seoul's morning traffic hummed like a distant prayer. My mother called yesterday, I said finally. What did she tell her? That I married a man who sees me as fragile glass instead of forged steel. What did she say? That Nigerian women don't break. We bend until we're ready to spring back. And? That any man who tries to cage a bird of paradise will only teach it to hate singing. Taeyung's laugh was bitter. Your mother sounds wise. She raised 5 daughters in Lagos. Wisdom was survival. What else did she say? That love without respect is just pretty slavery. The words hit their target. I watched something crumble in his expression. Is that what this has been? Pretty slavery? You tell me. When was the last time you asked what I wanted instead of deciding what I needed? I ask you things. You ask me what I want for dinner. What I want to watch on television. You don't ask me what I want from life. What do you want from life? The question caught me off guard in its simplicity. I want to finish my degree. I want to write the novel I've been planning for 2 years. I want to travel back and forth between Nigeria and wherever I choose to build my life. And I want to be loved by someone who sees my choices as gifts, not threats. What if I'm learning to see them that way? Learning isn't enough anymore, Taeyung. Then what is? Proof. He stood up abruptly, pacing to the window. What kind of proof? Let me go to Nigeria. Without conditions. Without timelines. Without promises to return. And if you don't come back? Then you'll know that what we had wasn't love. It was convenience disguised as protection. And if you do come back? Then we'll know it was real. He turned to face me, his expression raw. I don't know how to love someone without trying to keep them safe. Safety isn't something you give to someone. It's something you build together. I don't know how to do that. Neither did I. But I'm learning. From who? From you. From my mistakes. From the woman I'm becoming instead of the girl I was. The girl who needed rescue. The girl who thought she needed rescue. There's a difference. Taeyung moved back to the table, sitting down heavily. When would you leave? Next week. How long? As long as it takes. For what? To remember who Chioma was before Min Jun. Before you. Before I learned to define myself by the men who wanted to own me. And if you remember that you're happier without me? Then I'll be honest about it. Even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts. Because that's what real love looks like, choosing someone's happiness over your own comfort. He was quiet for a long time, staring at his hands. I've never let anyone leave before. Maybe that's why they all wanted to run. Maybe. I'm not running, Taeyung. I'm choosing. There's a difference. Is there? Running is about fear. Choosing is about hope. What are you hoping for? That when I come back, if I come back, it will be because I want to build something real with you. Not because I need you to survive. And if I can't handle the uncertainty? Then you're not ready for love. You're only ready for ownership. The truth hung between us like a bridge we both had to choose to cross. There's something I need to tell you, he said finally. What? I bought your family's farm debt 6 months ago. My blood turned to ice. What are you talking about? Your parents took a loan against their property to pay for your education. When you couldn't send money home because of Min Jun, they started defaulting. How do you know about that? I make it my business to know everything about people I care about. You investigated my family? I protected them. Without asking me? You would have said no. Exactly. I stood up so fast the chair fell backward. You did it again. You made decisions about my life without including me. I was helping. You were controlling. Even my family's independence is subject to your whim now. That's not what I intended. Intent doesn't matter when the result is the same. What do you want me to do? Transfer the debt back to the original lender. Chioma. Do it. Today. Before I leave for Nigeria. They'll lose the farm. That's their choice to make. Not yours. Not mine. Theirs. You're willing to let your family lose everything to prove a point. I'm willing to let my family make their own decisions about their own lives. Even if those decisions hurt. That's not love. That's exactly love. Trusting people you care about to handle their own consequences. Taeyong stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. Maybe I was. If I do this, if I transfer the debt back, will you still go to Nigeria? Yes. Even knowing your family might lose their home? Especially knowing that. Because if I stay to fix problems I didn't create, I'll never know if I'm choosing you or choosing guilt. And if they do lose the farm? Then I'll help them rebuild. With my own money. From my own choices. As their daughter, not as your wife. Something in his face shifted. You really mean that? Every word. Even if it means watching them suffer? Even then. I don't understand how you can be so strong and so heartless at the same time. I'm not heartless. I'm free. And freedom means accepting that love sometimes requires letting go. Of everything? Of everything that was never really ours to hold. He walked to his desk and pulled out his phone. I'll make the calls today. All of them? The debt transfer. Your travel arrangements. Your complete financial independence. And I'll learn how to love someone who doesn't need me to survive. Can you do that? I don't know. But I'm going to try. I walked over to him, close enough to see the fear in his eyes. When I come back, if I come back, I want to come back to a partner, not a protector. What's the difference? Partners choose each other every day. Protectors choose for each other. And if I can't learn the difference? Then I'll love you enough to stay away. That's the cruelest kindness I've ever heard. It's the only kind that sets people free. I kissed his forehead gently. Sometimes the most dangerous choice is choosing yourself. But it's also the only choice that leads to real love. The blood on my wedding dress wasn't from abuse anymore. It was from standing my ground. And finally, that felt like freedom.